After falling asleep in the wrong cruise room, she discovers an amazing secret that transforms everything. The first night aboard the luxurious cruise liner was a swirl of excitement. Ellie, a 38-year-old single mother, felt the long years of hard labor at 2 jobs begin to melt away. The laughter of her spirited 16-year-old daughter, Jess, echoed in her ears. Yet, that evening ended in a wave of fatigue that washed over Ellie as they staggered through the maze of extravagant corridors. Seeking solace from the buzzing crowd, she opened a door, grateful for the plush bed that beckoned her. But as soft sheets enveloped her, guilt pricked her conscience awake. This wasn't their cabin. The room lay dimly lit, and curiosity pulled her to explore the barely visible corner. A dusty, leather-bound journal beckoned. She brushed off the dust and felt an electric charge pulse through her fingers. As she flipped through the pages, she froze at the drawings of brilliant sea creatures and notes filled with scientific breakthroughs. This belonged to a marine scientist, her estranged grandfather, a ghost of whispers and family stories. To finally touch his legacy ignited both awe and dread within her chest. How could the heart of a man so full of potential be lost to the tides of time? Conflicted, Ellie felt the weight of expectations. The excitement of discovery was laced with anxiety. She hadn't chosen this relentless struggle to provide for Jess to falter now. Would she be worthy of carrying her grandfather's torch? Can a woman like her, perpetually striving to be recognized, step into that shadow? The journal's insights revealed the urgency of climate change, igniting a determination to share his voice and perhaps find her own in the process. It was an emotional tightrope walk, one foot in her role as a dedicated mother and the other in the professional world that had often overlooked her. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. A sudden urgency gripped her. Her former mentor, now a figure flourishing in marine academia, would claw at any opportunity to discredit her. What if he found out she had the journal? The thought made her heart race. Had she just unearthed a dragon? The fear of inadequacy tightened its grip, igniting doubt within her. Who was she to defend a legacy when she had barely carved her own path? Closing the journal felt like abandoning the depths of its revelations. Yet, all she could hear was his voice hissing that she lacked the credentials to stand tall. Every second stretched, becoming a menacing echo of her past failures, so close to being resurrected. She wrestled with a mix of desperation and determination, haunted by her silent, unanswered questions. Could she protect what her family left behind while ensuring Jess felt secure in their future? Would she rise or drown in the suffocating tide of disbelief that had always followed her? Caught in the clutches of mounting turmoil, Ellie stole a glance at Jess, who now drifted into sleep, trusting this mother would always shield her. As Ellie processed the whirlwind of thoughts, the ocean stretched out beyond the window with its unspoken promises, reflecting her uncertainty back to her. Suddenly, an email pinged, a potential beacon of hope or downfall. Heart racing, she hesitated, fingers stiff against the screen, torn between the waters beneath and the raging storm within. What awaited her on the other side? Ellie's breath hitched as the email notification glowed like a lighthouse through the fog of her uncertainty. She hesitated, the weight of the journal heavy in her lap. A mixture of dread and exhilarating curiosity coiled within, each feeling tangling with the other, fueling her internal conflict. Steeling herself, she clicked open the email. It was from the institute where her mentor now thrived, inviting submissions for a prestigious marine conservation project. The call to action was clear: anyone with fresh insights on marine ecosystems was welcome to apply. But deep inside, Ellie felt the icy grip of self-doubt squeezing tighter. Could she dare to submit a piece shaped by her grandfather's revelations? The thought both exhilarated and terrified her. She wrestled with the choice. Her instincts nudged her toward potential, but the remnants of past failures echoed ominously in her mind. The memory of her mentor's dismissive laughter haunted her. How he'd once said her ideas were too simplistic, not thought through enough to hold weight in academic circles. Would he sink his teeth into the opportunity to belittle her, reveling in her downfall? Moments passed, stagnant yet electric, as the sea beyond mirrored her turmoil. The rhythmic waves cast a spell of calm, but the call of the email screamed for action. It wouldn't just be a chance to honor her grandfather's memory. It would be a way to step out from the shadows she always inhabited, a chance to finally validate her place in a world that had too often overlooked her contributions. Determination surged through her, forcing a decision. She would take this first step. With rapid clicks, she opened a new document, the blank space like a canvas awaiting its artist. Fingers trembled as she began to type, pouring out thoughts that had lingered too long in her mind. Her grandfather's sketches, photographs, and notes transformed into sentences, linking the vibrant life he passionately studied with the current, dire environmental plight. As ideas cascaded onto the screen, a flicker of confidence ignited within her. For too long, she had let her past dictate her present. Her struggles as a mother, the exhaustion from multiple jobs, they shaped her strength rather than defined her limitations. Each paragraph solidified her voice, inching her closer to unveiling her potential. This was a part of her now, the story of a woman taking back her narrative. With every keystroke, she pieced together a proposal that would honor her grandfather's legacy while intertwining her unique perspective as a hands-on mother and an observer of the world around her. It wasn't merely an academic piece. It was a personal testament to their shared passion for marine life and a protective plea for the future. Suddenly, a new fear crept in. What if her proposal wasn't strong enough? What if it was met with ridicule or, worse, indifference? The same doubts she had battled intensely whispered menacingly. But just as quickly, she hammered away at the keyboard, drowning them out. She had nothing to lose. This was not just about the journal or her grandfather. It was about setting an example for Jess, about teaching her daughter to press against the tide of doubt, to forge her own path through the chaos. As the clock ticked down into the late hours of the night, Ellie felt a swell of purpose rise within her. With the final edit completed, she hovered over the send button. This single decision could either ignite a fire within her or extinguish the hope she was beginning to cultivate. But it was time to move forward, to let go of the fear shackling her to the past, and step into a future where she owned her legacy. Taking a deep breath, she clicked send, heart racing, a mixture of thrill and apprehension flooding her system. She had taken control of her present, but unknown challenges awaited. All she could do was wait, the anticipation of response resting heavily on her as she leaned back, feeling the weight of possibilities swell alongside the crashing waves outside. What would the morning bring? In the quiet aftermath, Ellie welcomed the ocean's whisper, a reminder that her journey was just beginning. Little did she know, just beyond the horizon, upheaval awaited that would challenge everything she thought she knew. As the morning sun broke through her curtains, casting a soft glow around her chaotic living room, Ellie felt a spark of anxiety entwined with her rising hope. The night's events lay heavy in her mind: the proposal, her grandfather's legacy, and the decision she had made. She had dared to step into a world that had so often felt hostile. It was exhilarating yet terrifying, like standing on a precipice. Her phone buzzed insistently, the sound jolting her from her introspection. She glanced at it, heart pounding, a response from the institute. Biting her lip, she hesitated, then swiped to open it, her breath hitching as she read the words. The initial elation quickly soured. They acknowledged her proposal, but suggested significant revisions. The phrasing struck her like a slap. It was impossibly formal, but what stung the most was the subtle implication of doubt in their response. Couldn't they see the passion behind her words? The urgency of her message? Worry consumed her as she stared at the screen. What if they didn't take her seriously? Would they lump her insights together with the novel thoughts of amateur researchers? Self-doubt seeped back in, an unwelcome companion. But amid the suffocating haze of second-guessing herself, a fire ignited. Perhaps she hadn't fully conveyed the depth of her insights or the intensity of her dedication. If they wanted revisions, she would give them revisions. She would transform this critique into a launchpad for her growth, not a reason to retreat. Fueled by resolve, Ellie opened a new document and began outlining her thoughts again. She reflected deeply on their feedback. What did they mean by the need for more robust data and nuanced argumentation? It stung, a painful reminder of her mentor's derisive laughter. But in this moment, she resolved to confront the fear in both her mind and the feedback. Her fingers flew across the keyboard as ideas surged forth. She used her grandfather's journals as a foundation, but now, armed with a clear understanding of what critics might seek, she began to layer complex arguments onto her observations. Each sentence gradually transformed. She was delving deeper, intertwining empirical data with personal anecdotes and observations. She envisioned the proposal morphing into a narrative that not only honored her grandfather, but also encapsulated the voices of the fragile ecosystems he cared so deeply about. Hours faded into the background as she became lost in her work. The rhythmic pounding of the waves against the shore outside mirrored her growing determination. Ellie incorporated specific case studies, weaving in statistics she had previously overlooked, demonstrating the real-world impact of human activity on marine life. It was both a scholarly pursuit and a heartfelt mission one echoed in the every keystroke. When she finally sat back, exhausted yet invigorated, Ellie felt an unmistakable shift in her understanding of herself. This project was no longer just about affirming her place. It was about empowering her voice and connecting her personal history with current conservation efforts. With her revisions, she had not merely taken control of her narrative, but had become a bridge between the past and a possible future filled with hope. Still, an unsettling sensation lingered in the pit of her stomach. As confident as she felt in the revisions, the fear of rejection or disinterest had not entirely vanished. What would it mean to truly stake her claim in a world that had belittled her? Would they recognize her new insights, or simply dismiss them anew? Drawn into this looming uncertainty, Ellie closed her laptop, a sense of ambivalence hovering over her. She had crafted something meaningful, yet how it would be received remained a question lingering in the air. Just then, Jess bounded into the room, the 7-year-old bursting with energy, oblivious to her mother's internal conflict. "Mom, can we go to the beach today? I want to collect shells." As Ellie looked at her daughter, a swell of purpose washed over her. It wasn't just about the proposal. It was about setting a path of resilience, teaching Jess to see beauty and possibility rooted in challenges. "Let us go," Ellie said, heart racing with the amalgamation of her motherly resolve and emerging professional identity. As they strolled onto the sun-drenched sand, excitement bubbled within her, but a nagging feeling persisted. What awaited her response would carry greater implications than mere acceptance or rejection. It was a push for a confrontation of her own making, and she was ready for whatever tides of change might follow. In that moment, she glimpsed the future. Her journey was far from over, and its unfolding uncertainties called out to her like the rhythm of the waves. Little did she know, an unexpected encounter at the shoreline would further test her resolve and alter her path entirely. The sun hung high in the cloudless sky, a beacon of warmth that wrapped Ellie and Jess in its golden embrace. The rhythmic crashing of the waves accompanied their steps, each one a reminder of the ebb and flow of life's uncertainties. As they collected shells, Ellie found herself slipping in and out of daydreams, the tranquility masking the mental gears still grinding over her recent revisions. "Look, Mommy, this one's perfect," Jess shouted, holding up a tiny, iridescent shell. The joy in her daughter's voice momentarily eased Ellie's turmoil. It was a small victory, a beautiful interruption to the profound questions thrumming in her mind. But the calm only lasted so long. As they reached the water's edge, Ellie noticed a shadow lingering not far from where they stood. Just beyond the foamy crests of the waves, a figure emerged, a man, tall and dark-haired, staring intently at a pile of driftwood. There was something familiar about him, and a shiver of recognition swept through her, though she couldn't place it. "Mom, can I go show him my shells?" Jess asked with innocent eagerness, tugging gently at Ellie's hand. That simple request ignited a turmoil within her. The urge to protect her child held a strong grip, yet curiosity about the man, the unfamiliarity of him in this sanctuary, piqued her interest. "Just be careful, sweetheart," Ellie replied, watching as Jess hurried forward. As her daughter approached, the man looked up, his expression shifting to surprise. "Ellie, The voice was deep and reassuring, yet it churned something deep within her. David? Her heart raced as the names floated between them, memories of shared laughter and long conversations washed away by the unpredictability of time. David had been her mentor during her early research days, an ambitious marine biologist whose passion for conservation mirrored her grandfather's. Their paths had diverged after their academic pursuits led them in different directions, yet she had always admired his dedication and poise. He stepped closer, studying her with an intensity that pulled at her insecurities. "It's been a while. I didn't expect to see you here." "Same," she said, her voice faltering. "I've been busy." Jess presented her shells proudly, breaking the tension. "Look, I found all these." David knelt, captivated, and within moments, he was engaged in genuine conversation with Jess. Ellie watched, a mix of admiration and trepidation rising within her. What would a conversation with David entail? Would it be filled with encouragement, or would it dredge up insecurities she thought she had overcome? "Your mom was quite the researcher back in the day," David said, a playful light in his eyes as he glanced back at Ellie. "I always believed she would do something remarkable." The compliment hung in the air, and Ellie felt the weight of it pressing against her self-doubt. Was he merely being kind, or did he truly see potential in her? A knot of fear constricted her throat. What if this was yet another instance of someone acknowledging her past while she remained stagnant in the present? Before she could respond, Jess piped up, "Mom found the best shells ever. She's writing a big paper too." An unexpected spark ignited in David's gaze. "A paper? On marine ecology, I hope? You were always good at finding the connections others missed." The past collided with the present, and Ellie felt the urge to escape. But this time she stood tall. Rather than feeling overwhelmed, a new determination swelled. "Actually, I'm revising a proposal that connects my grandfather's work with contemporary issues. It's been a struggle, but I'm committed to making a difference." David nodded, visibly impressed. "Let me know if I can help. I've got some research that might align well with your focus. It could add the robustness you're looking for." Hope surged, mingling with fear. The prospect of collaborating with David was enticing, but the stakes felt higher than ever. Could she accept help while still forging her own path? If she accepted his offer, did it risk her independence or enhance her purpose? As Jess bounced back to them with a triumphant grin, Ellie felt the ground beneath her shift. This meeting had the potential to alter everything, to fuse her past with her ambitions for the future. But was she ready to embrace the interconnectedness of her journey and allow another person inside? In that moment, she caught David's steady gaze. Answers swirled in her mind, but the core question remained. Was she prepared to engage with the unknown, to confront not only her fears but her beliefs about her own worth? Before she could answer herself, the water shifted with a sudden rush, a wave crashing over her feet, urging her to make a decision. As the tide pulled back, Ellie felt herself on the cusp of a choice. Her resolve had never felt more crystallized, but the uncertainty was palpable. What lay ahead could reshape her understanding forever, but would she have the courage to ride the wave? The surge of the tide receded, leaving Ellie standing in the wet sand, the salty breeze tousling her hair. David's eyes held her captive, a silent challenge nestled within them. The weight of the moment pressed down upon her, sparking a rapid-fire series of questions within her. What did this mutual opportunity truly mean? Was it a step toward growth, or a surrender of her individuality? "Ellie?" David's voice cut through her swirling thoughts, pulling her back to the present. "Are you okay?" "Yeah, she inhaled deeply, her mind racing through the potential consequences of aligning herself with him, and the familiar knots in her stomach tightened. "I'm processing everything. It's been a while since I've considered collaboration." David nodded, understanding flickering in his gaze. "I get it. You don't have to rush into anything. Just know that what you have to offer is valuable and resonates beyond just you." Those words penetrated Ellie's defenses, embedding themselves deep within her. Value. What had she been seeking for so long? The feeling of being recognized, but also the fear that recognition could dissipate her autonomy. She had worked hard to hone her distinct voice, yet here stood a chance to amplify it within a larger context. Jess, oblivious to the subtle complexities unfolding between the adults, tugged on Ellie's shirt. "Mommy, can we go find more shells now?" "Of course, sweetheart." Ellie leaned down, meeting Jess's sparkling eyes. How about we make a game of it? Let us see who can find the most unique shell. With that, they raced toward the water's edge, leaving David to watch with an amused smile. As she chased after Jess, laughter bubbling between them, Ellie fleetingly cast a glance back at David, who remained rooted in place, arms crossed, a thoughtful look on his face. Something about his expression made her heart pulse with urgency. This connection to him, this intertwining of her past and present felt like the thread of a lifeline she had forgotten existed. After what felt like an endless stretch of giggles and gentle competition, they settled back in their sandy spot, Jess showering her mother with shells for inspection. Ellie held the shells up to the sunlight, examining their textures and colors. Yet, her mind reeled, spinning webs of possibilities about her research paper. Do you think I could do it? She whispered to herself, frustration creeping in. Do I deserve to work with someone like him? The thrill of the earlier connection began to tangibly mix with self-doubt again. Could she truly step outside of her comfort zone? She had nurtured her independence for so long, and the thought of relinquishing even a fragment felt potentially catastrophic. Suddenly, an idea struck her as bright as the sunlight glinted off the shell in her hand. What if she fragmented the pressure, integrating David's expertise not as a force pulling her down, but as support lifting her to new heights? Collaboration didn't have to dilute her voice. It could amplify it, offering her insights that would challenge her to dig deeper, to push her boundaries beyond their previous confines. Mommy? Jess's voice broke her from contemplation. Can we go home soon? Ellie glanced at her daughter, wrapped in innocence and joy. In a little while, okay? Let us find one more shell. As Jess scampered off again, Ellie exhaled, the tension in her shoulders loosening slightly. As the sun began its descent, painting the sky in shades of amber and coral, Ellie felt the stirrings of possibility ignite within her spirit. She had a decision to make. The courage to embrace this opportunity wasn't just about acceptance. It would require a commitment to herself to grow, challenge her perceptions of worth, and honor her grandfather's legacy as she forged onward. But would that choice come at a cost? And if she were to reach for this potential growth, would it risk the delicate balance of her life, her family? The waves lapped at her feet, echoing her internal struggle. Just as she was ready to voice her decision, a distant shout broke through, cutting sharply against the tranquility of the evening. David was calling her name, concern etched on his face. Ellie, you need to see this. Her heart raced once more, not from uncertainty, but from newfound determination. What awaited her as she approached David? Would it be discovery or confrontation? Taking a deep breath, she began to move a fledgling step into the unknown that could redefine everything she thought she understood about herself. As Ellie approached David, each footstep felt significant, laden with the weight of her tumultuous thoughts. The glow of the sunset illuminated the concern etched on his face, creating a sharp contrast with the buoyant energy of the afternoon. In that moment, the world around her faded, leaving only the palpable connection sparking between them. What had she hesitated to start exploring? Ellie, David called again, urgency rising in his tone. You won't believe what I just stumbled upon. Her curiosity piqued. Ellie rushed to his side, the seafoam lapping at her ankles as she drew closer. In David's hand was a piece of driftwood, attached to it a small, unopened letter encased in a water-resistant plastic sleeve. The sight anchored her heart, an unexpected bridge to the unknown. What is it? She asked, moving to peer over his shoulder. It looks like an old message, he replied, his fingers deftly prying open the plastic. Check it out, it's dated from decades ago. Maybe it's something significant. As he pulled the letter from its protective casing, the worn edges hinted at countless stories buried within. Ellie felt an electric thrill at the prospect of discovering a hidden narrative. In her mind, the letter could be a reflection of dreams unfulfilled, ideas once vibrant, and yet forgotten, much like her own hopes. David unfolded the letter and began to read aloud, his voice steady yet laced with excitement. Words leapt from the page: passions, struggles, and a yearning for change. As he continued, Ellie's mind raced. There lay the essence of what eluded her, the very pursuit of understanding and growth, unencumbered by the paralyzing fear of failure. Each phrase resonated within her, coaxing her own aspirations to resurface, shaping into a clear call for action. "We all have something to contribute, something worth sharing," she murmured, finally piecing together her scattered thoughts. "Just like this letter." David glanced at her, a newfound light in his eyes. "Exactly. It's the courage to express oneself that matters. It's like this letter was waiting for someone to find it. Just like your paper needs your unique voice." As they absorbed the gravity of the find, Ellie was struck by the awakening realization of her own potential. The driftwood, seemingly simple, encapsulated the very essence of what she sought to embody in her work, a story intertwined with voices reaching beyond their silenced confines. "Maybe I can share my interpretation of it," she suggested, her aspirations crystallizing. "This could be the beginning of something truly impactful." David nodded, his agreement fueling her resolve. The project would challenge her to reach deeper, to excavate her buried talents. More than collaboration, it could be an exploration of self, blending her voice and viewpoint with his insight, transforming the process into a journey rather than a relinquishment of power. Yet self-doubt loomed as Ellie considered the risks. What if it doesn't resonate? What if I lose myself in the process? "Only if you let it," David countered, with an assertive insight. "This isn't about losing identity. It's about expanding it. You're not just a researcher, you're a storyteller. Own that." Owning that truth felt different, almost transcendent. Ellie envisioned two pathways diverging before her, both lined with uncertainty but rich in potential. One direction led to stagnation, the other to unfurling growth. She was beginning to see collaboration not as a crutch, but as a lifeline, a way to hone her strengths, perhaps preparing her to share her passion more broadly than she had ever imagined. As optimism surged within her, the waves ebbed and flowed rhythmically against the sand, mirroring her tentative buoyancy. Just as she dared to focus on the possible collaboration sprouting with David, an unexpected chill swept through her. It wasn't just about embracing new opportunities. It meant confronting fears of inadequacy firmly. Before Ellie could voice her commitment, the evening sky darkened, a sudden wind howling through, casting a sense of urgency. David turned to her, his expression shifting from excitement to concern. "Maybe we should head back?" There was something unsettling in the air. But as they turned to leave, a flickering light caught her attention up the beach, small and erratic, almost lost in the shadows. Her heart raced. What if it held another secret? Ellie's curiosity swelled, pulling her toward possibilities yet unexplored. "Wait, let us check it out," she urged, her determination ignited anew. Whatever the source of that light was, it might further illuminate her path, guiding her through the dark uncertainty ahead and into the heart of her personal evolution. Together, they ventured towards the unknown, Ellie's footsteps echoing her growing confidence. What awaited her just beyond the shadows? Was it another fragment of her past, or a harbinger of newfound clarity? As Ellie approached the flickering light, her pulse quickened, the hesitation of moments before dissolving into bold anticipation. The air had thickened around them, charged with the impending storm, disconnecting her momentarily from the bustling thoughts of inadequacy. With each cautious step, she felt the dual nature of her journey, traveling through the darkness, yet moving towards something potentially transformative. The light revealed itself as an old lantern perched on a weather-beaten rock, its flame wavering against the gusty breeze. Shadows danced along the sand, creating a surreal atmosphere that both captivated and unnerved her. Could this lantern be a metaphor for her own flickering spirit, waiting for the right spark to ignite it fully? "What do you think it means?" David asked, his brows furrowed in intrigue. Ellie pondered for a moment, the letter they had just discovered echoing in her mind. "Maybe it's about illumination, finding our way out of the dark," she replied, her voice barely louder than the wind. "Or perhaps it's a reminder that things often seem more daunting in the dark, but light can reveal clarity." The sudden gust of wind rattled the lantern, compelling Ellie to step closer. Her instincts urged her to reach out and touch it. The idea of exploring what lay beneath its exterior was irresistible, mirroring her desire to explore and express the buried creativity within her. "Just like this light needs fuel to burn brighter, I need to feed my own passion," she said, conviction igniting in her tone. The realization that exploration was intrinsic to personal growth felt monumental. It propelled her forward not only towards the lantern, but deeper into the exploration of her own voice. What if we could use this light as a symbol for our project? David suggested. It could represent enlightenment through storytelling, unveiling truths that may otherwise remain concealed. Ellie's heart raced. The idea hit her with fervor. This wasn't just a collaboration, it was a mission. Yes, we can frame our work like that, a journey illuminating what lies beneath the surface. Each story we uncover, like pieces of driftwood washed ashore, holds the potential to shine light on lost hope or buried dreams. The connection between her own journey and the letters sprang to life. In this moment, Ellie began to understand that her voice had always mattered. Regardless of the noise of self-doubt, the whispers of greatness grew louder. She grabbed the lantern, holding it up, and in that act felt a sense of ownership and empowerment wash over her. What if we each wrote a story inspired by this? She suggested, her ideas flowing freely. We could draw from our experiences, our fears, and our desires. It's an opportunity to share not only our interpretations, but the essence of who we are. David's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. And we can include the old letter as a framing device, breathing life into its words through our new narratives. We can create a compilation, an anthology of stories weaving through the past and future. The possibilities felt endless. Those small fears flickered in her mind like the lantern flame. What if her voice wasn't strong enough? What if her story didn't resonate? Just as quickly, she quelled these thoughts, embracing the power of vulnerability, the magic that transpired when one dared to be authentic. Stepping back, they both marveled at the glowing light. This was more than a random find. It was a catalyst for change. With heightened clarity, Ellie realized she was actively shaping her destiny. The darkness surrounding her fears wasn't a limitation. It was an invitation to challenge her identity as a storyteller. We can do this, she affirmed, binding herself more tightly to her newfound vision. The shadow of doubt began to fade, illuminated by the glow of opportunity. Just as the realization settled, a crashing wave surged forth, dousing the lantern's flame, plunging them into a darkness even denser than before. Ellie's heart pounded. Uncertainty crept in alongside flashes of apprehension. Was it the universe playing tricks? Or was this merely a test of her resolve? Ellie, what do we do now? David asked, the urgency mirrored in his tone. Caught between empowerment and trepidation, Ellie felt the pressure to act. We have to find another light, she urged, emboldened by the idea of forging ahead in the face of flickering shadows. But what deeper truths awaited them, concealed in the darkness? And would Ellie truly find the strength to illuminate her path, or would the fears of her inadequacies swallow her whole? The sudden silence that enveloped Ellie and David felt as heavy as the darkness surrounding them. She glanced around, eyes straining to discern any shapes amidst the void where the glowing lantern had moments earlier flickered in defiance of the night. Adrenaline coursed through her veins, merging with the lingering echoes of uncertainty. A part of her wondered if the extinguished flame symbolized more than just a technical failure. Perhaps it was a harbinger of her own insecurities rising up to meet her. Let us look around, Ellie suggested firmly, her voice surprising even herself with its clarity. David nodded, sharing her sudden determination, and together they stepped away from the rock into the unknown. Each cautious step shifted her focus. The ground underfoot felt rugged. Gritty textures and unfamiliar shifts in elevation tugged at her attention, pulling her into the current moment. The act of walking, of moving through the darkness, became a meditation of sorts, urging Ellie to confront her thoughts rather than shy away from them. Incrementally, she found herself reflecting not on what could go wrong, but instead on what lay ahead. Remember the stories we talked about? She began, her voice steady in the shroud of night. Each one of us has challenges, trials that shape us. We just have to be brave enough to explore them, to bring them into the light, even if it requires navigating some darkness first. David followed up, the enthusiasm rekindling. Just because we've lost our first light doesn't mean we can't create another. Just like in storytelling, there are always multiple paths, right? Ellie smiled. The companionship in their quest bolstered her spirits, igniting the embers of creativity hidden within. While fear had once smothered her ambitions, Now it felt paradoxically invigorating, a multifaceted source of inspiration and depth waiting to be extracted. Suddenly, a shimmering glint caught her eye just beyond the shadow's edge. Curiosity piqued. She moved closer, a magnetic draw pulling her toward an unusual formation in the sand. There, half buried, was an object glistening under the luminescent quarter moon, a small, polished seashell, its pearly sheen reflecting the soft glow of the celestial body above. "Look!" Ellie exclaimed, kneeling to uncover it. As she pulled it from the sand, an unexpected emotion swelled within her. This shell was a testament to resilience, an example of beauty shaped through trials, ceaseless waves crashing amid relentless weathering. She held it up to David, the weight of their conversation heavy in the air. "It's like us, isn't it? Beautiful despite the struggles formed through perseverance." David took the shell, turning it thoughtfully in his hands. "We should keep this as a reminder. Every piece we write should evoke our journeys, layers of complexity and growth manifesting in ways we often overlook. Maybe our project should include how we navigate personal storms." This idea sparked something deep within Ellie. It resonated with an intuitive truth that she had only begun to uncover. They were forging a narrative that reflected empowerment through vulnerability, illustrating the silent stories that thrived beneath the surface, each tale waiting for the right catalyst to emerge. But as she reveled in this newfound insight, a powerful crash of a wave drew nearer, the water rushing ominously toward them. The tide clamored aggressively against the shore, pulling away their hard-earned treasure, the seashell, threatening to roll back into the depths. "Wait, we can't lose it." Ellie lunged forward, propelled by urgency. As she dove to retrieve the shell, an internal conflict flared. What if she lost this renewed sense of purpose, like the lantern's flames snuffed out in an instant? The raw reality of grappling with her fears pushed her past recklessness and toward a powerful motivation. Ellie grasped the shell firmly, heart racing in tandem with the crashing waves. This moment crystallized her understanding. She would not allow the tides of uncertainty to wash away her dreams. Fueled by newfound resolve, she stood tall, embracing the message in that glimmering shell. "Let us head inland," she declared, breathing deeply amidst the rising tide. "We'll find our way. We'll write our stories so that no one ever feels lost in the dark again." With the shell cradled like a treasure in her palm, Ellie took the lead, ready to carve her path through the night. But as they made their way back, Ellie couldn't shake the feeling that forces beyond themselves were shifting, weaving together threads of fate in ways she couldn't yet fathom. What awaited them on the other side of their journey? The question hung in the air like the crashing waves, inviting, yet laden with uncertainty. The echoes of crashing waves faded into a rhythm, matching the beat of Ellie's heart as they moved inland. Clutching the seashell, she felt a knot of possibilities unfurling before her, a whisper of intuition propelling her forward. But shadows of doubt lurked just beyond her awareness, remnants of her past insecurities, threatening to cloud her clarity. "Do you think we can really pull it off?" David's voice interrupted her thoughts, the apprehension layered with a flicker of hope. "Of course," she replied, pushing back the vestiges of hesitation. "We have the stories inside us. They just need to find a way to surface." The conviction in her words surprised her, yet it served as a reminder of the responsibility she felt toward their endeavor. David walked close, an ally in her quest, yet she could sense his skepticism. This realization stirred something deep within Ellie, a burning desire to not only prove him wrong, but also to acknowledge her own fears. What if this was the moment when she would confront the reality of her passion and its implications? The challenge surged forward, as if inviting her to rise beyond mediocrity. As they traversed the gentle incline, the landscape revealed unexpected beauty, a wilderness alive with sounds and scents that invigorated Ellie's senses. It was here, amidst the embrace of nature, that she started to visualize their project more clearly. Stories entwined with struggles and triumphs, not just her own, but those of other voices waiting to be heard in the backdrop of a chaotic world. "Imagine it," she mused, her eyes sparkling with inspiration. "We bring together tales that capture the essence of resilience. Every layer of experience can be a guiding light for others." A small smile graced David's lips, but uncertainty flickered in his gaze. You really think people will want to hear these stories? That they'll resonate? The moment of vulnerability between them hung thick with unspoken concerns. Steeling herself, Ellie chose to confront the core of his doubt, pushing past the nervousness that threatened to suffocate her ambitions. In a world filled with noise, authenticity is revolutionary. We all long for connection, for the threads of our humanity to intertwine, don't you think? His gaze met hers, searching for deeper meaning. Here lay a crossroads, a collective pivot from fear to courage. Ellie realized that this project extended beyond mere storytelling. It invoked an exchange of truths, a re-establishment of lost connections within her own mind and heart. I guess we'll have to see just how deep we can dig, David replied, the challenge igniting a spark of collaboration. She could sense the shift, the first step toward creating something far greater than either had envisioned alone. As they ascended the final ridge, the sky transitioned from inky blacks to muted violets, a dawn promising renewal. Ellie recalled the seashell, a symbol of perseverance, and how it had sparked her journey. It became clear that her path required not only tenacity, but also the courage to share her vulnerabilities with the world. What eluded her was the understanding of her own limits on the cusp of personal growth. She would need to strike a delicate balance between confidence and learning through adversity. Was she ready to face the antagonistic voices within her, the ones that whispered doubts of inadequacy? "Let us find a place to set up for tonight," she said, feeling invigorated yet uncertain. The tranquility of the setting was juxtaposed with the turmoil inside her, a reminder of the internal battles yet to be confronted. Watching as David began to scout areas for their makeshift camp, Ellie took a moment to breathe deeply, looking toward the horizon where the colors of dawn mingled. She realized this was not just a journey into the night. It was about forging connections and unearthing truths that had long been buried. "Ellie," David called, and she turned just as he pointed toward a silhouette rising in the distance, an old stone building, shadowy yet inviting against the awakening sky. "What do you think that is?" he asked, a hint of excitement threading through his voice. That uncharted structure loomed before them, wrapped in mystery, and Ellie felt an exhilarating pulse of opportunity thrumming in her chest. Was it a sign? Perhaps a place where their story could unfurl in unexpected ways. With a deep breath, she shared David's awe, recalling the challenges ahead of navigating both the external world and the intricate landscapes of their own minds. "Let us find out," she said decisively, her heartbeat syncing with the vibrant energy in the air. What lay inside could transform everything, including them. As Ellie and David approached the old stone building, the air thick with anticipation, Ellie felt the weight of her past and present intertwining. Each step forward echoed her journey, a blend of fear and exhilaration that urged her onward. The remnants of the night slowly surrendered to the dawn, illuminating their path and revealing the hidden complexities of both the structure and her own aspirations. "Maybe this is where we can truly begin our project," David suggested, a spark of hope in his tone. The building, though shabby and overgrown, exuded a sense of history, as if it held countless forgotten stories, much like the ones Ellie wanted to tell. Pushing open the creaky door, Ellie felt a rush of warmth as sunlight flooded the dark interior, casting flickering shadows that danced on the stone walls. Her breath caught as she absorbed the remnants of faded murals and handwritten notes affixed in haphazard fashion. They seemed to whisper secrets of environmental truths and scientific dreams lost in time. This was not just a place, it was alive. "This could be our inspiration," she breathed, the realization propelling her forward. She stepped into one of the rooms, its corners cloaked in dust, but rich with potential. The tools and artifacts littered around spoke to the legacy of explorers and researchers who had come before them, each leaving behind a piece of their passion. As they wandered through the rooms, David began examining the findings with a keen eye, inspired by the countless stories that could emerge from such a treasure trove. Ellie felt a weight lift from her shoulders. This location promised a convergence of their visions, a source of storytelling intertwined with powerful scientific inquiry that transcended her own insecurities. "This is what we need, David," she said, enthusiasm bubbling within her. "The stories we create can reflect the beauty of exploration, the continuous search for truth, and understanding that we both resonate with." David nodded, And for the first time, Ellie saw a spark of belief in his eyes mirroring her own. In that moment, they weren't just collaborators. They were co-creators crafting a narrative that could inspire connection, acceptance, and resilience. Yet, as hope flourished, Ellie felt the soft echo of doubt rear its head again. Would they uncover something truly profound? What if their efforts fell flat among the rigorous expectations of academia? But she held the seashell tightly, anchoring herself in the promise of growth and discovery. Just then, she noticed a desk in the corner, its surface cluttered with papers yellowing with age. Drawn to it, she approached and began to sift through the notes and sketches, fingers tracing the faded ink. Her heart raced as she recognized a familiar style, her grandfather's handwriting. "David, look," she exclaimed, gesturing him over. The notes contained observations, detailed research, and passionate pleas for awareness about marine conservation. It was as if her grandfather's spirit lingered within these walls, urging her to continue his fight for awareness. "This is incredible," David said, leaning closer. "We can integrate his words with our narratives, weaving together generations of understanding. I can honor his legacy in a way I never imagined," Ellie whispered, overwhelmed by the revelation. The disparate threads of her ancestral identity, her ambitions as a mother, and her struggle for recognition began to interlace in a tapestry vibrant with meaning. As they continued to uncover treasures within the building, it became clear that each discovery had the potential to enhance the stories they would share. Each piece of history resonated deeply, shaping Ellie South's understanding of her place in the continuum of environmental stewardship, igniting a fire in her chest that had long simmered beneath layers of doubt. Hours slipped by unnoticed as ideas flowed between them, the atmosphere charged with creativity and purpose. The building had transformed into a sanctuary of inspiration, offering not just a backdrop for their work, but a space where Ellie could fully embrace her narrative. "I see now," she said to David, feeling the pieces align in her mind. "My journey isn't just about finding acceptance in academia. It's about embodying the stories of both our pasts, using them as propulsion for future change." "Yes," David responded, excitement coursing through him. "We take these fragments of history, the struggles, the aspirations, and weave them into something that awakens awareness in others. Our voices combined could be the synthesis the marine conservation narrative desperately needs." In that moment, Ellie felt a deep sense of fulfillment replace doubt. She could see herself asserting her identity beyond what she had always known. Embracing vulnerability rather than shying away from it had opened doors she didn't realize existed. This opportunity to collaborate with David, to honor her grandfather's legacies, and create impact stirred a profound sense of purpose. As twilight descended, Ellie and David gathered their notes and sketches, ready to embark on the next chapter of their venture. The waves outside echoed the rhythm of her heart, no longer a chaotic crash of fears, but a steady current of renewed commitment and clarity. The journey ahead promised trials and triumphs, challenges and growth. But Ellie was ready. The darkness of uncertainty no longer loomed over her. Instead, she welcomed it as an integral part of her story. "Let us make this journey one to remember," she said confidently, a smile breaking across her face. Together, they stepped out of the building, re-energized by the possibilities. The shells they had gathered shimmered under the moonlight, a reminder of their individual journeys and the collective power of their voices. The tides may rise and fall, but Ellie knew she was poised to navigate whatever came next, anchoring herself in the essence of her transformation. She had reclaimed her narrative, forged a collaboration that empowered her resolutely, and found acceptance not only from others, but deep within herself. With a final glance towards the stars starting to dot the night sky, Ellie felt a full circle moment wash over her. She stood proud not just as a mother or a researcher, but as a storyteller ready to claim her place in the world. As they walked away side by side, Ellie whispered aloud to the universe, "I'm ready." And the world, with all its infinite possibilities, seemed to echo back, "So are you." This is your moment. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. You need to show your support for more narratives of personal overcoming. Comment your reactions and theories about this ending. We want to hear it all. And please, Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second. True fans of personal transformation understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.